Hello and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles. My name is Danny De Lillo. I am so delighted to be joined back with such an amazing film in being here with the lovely Mélisa and Sydney, who are both here that are celebrating their film, and we get a chance to actually have a fantastic chat with them about the making and the creating. So if you haven't seen it, or if you want to see a little bit more again, here is a clip of being here.
With that, I've got some big news. You're free to go on Sunday.
Sunday?
Yes, Sunday. After that, you'll be a Midwest Recovery Center alum.
I don't want to go.
I mean, you don't have to.
I'm not ready.
I'm so happy to be with you all. Stretch from Florida to New York to LA.
Yeah.
So exciting. Thank you so much for being here in this virtual experience. As you know, I'm a big fan of your film. And for those that haven't seen it though, just tell us a brief synopsis of being here.
So Being Here follows Charlie, a young woman in her 20s. And after spending 3 months in a rehab facility, her therapist says, "You're free to go, you are medically cleared to leave." And she refuses to leave rehab in fear of leaving her newfound safety bubble and defaults to all of her unhealthy coping mechanisms that brought her there in the first place.
Sydney, it's an incredible film, touching the relationships, the journey, the experiences of what, you know, everyone is going through. And I just felt like a better human for watching it, because I just got some understanding of perspectives, and it was so engaging and so brilliantly acted by one of the actors here as well. For you, where did the inspiration come for you in creating this particular film?
So Charlie was me. So Being Here is based on my own personal experiences. I like to call it my quarter life crisis, where you know, I really hit rock bottom for me. And thankfully my best friends and my family stepped in and they knew exactly what to do. And so I went to rehab, and I wouldn't change any of it. It was, I tell people it was there where I learned how to be an adult and like be a fully realized human being. I had like negative emotional intelligence before I went to rehab. And I left with all these amazing coping skills that I used, you know, weed and alcohol and whatever else to, you know, to get by and just suppress a lot of, you know, like family stuff and trauma. And it was there in rehab where I decided to go to film school and, you know, applied to a bunch of different film schools around the country. And it's kind of where my journey, my filmmaking journey, like really began in a formal sense.
Yeah. I want to commend you on making this film, because I just think that people that have gone through what you've gone through are just sometimes shown so cliche, sometimes not shown in a way that I think people can really identify and understand. And I just think you took a whole new light with your perspective that was so engaging for people that may be going through it, know someone who's gone through it, or people that have just got a better understanding and you know, or just going through any particular thing and things in their lives that are holding them back. And I'm so glad that you made it, because I almost felt as May's it been therapy for you, it was therapy for others. And I want to jump in about that as well. But you obviously have you know, your star actor with us as well, Mélisa, who played you. Mélisa, how did you get involved in the project?
Well, actually, Sydney and I met at DePaul. We're both there for our masters, her in directing for Film, me for getting my MFA in acting. But yeah, we had a crossover course and made our first film through that course. And then after that, yeah, kept working together. And Sid actually has a whole story about, or Sydney has a whole story about that. Like
Tell us.
Well, yeah, so we made a movie together through class, and it ended up being 1,000 times more successful than I ever thought it would be. It was like my introduction to like the film festival world and yada yada. So then it was like, okay, time to do my thesis, and I wrote a few drafts of Being Here in and out of classes. So anyway, I wrote the script, and Melisa's like, we have to do a table read. Like, it is past time. I was like, all right. And she organized the whole thing and found actors and everyone to come in. And I didn't even have to read anything. And then it was after this table read where I said, oh yeah, I was writing Charlie the whole time I was thinking of you to play the character. And she was like, you're just now telling me this? Like, I had been working on the script for at least a year. I had known her for that year-long period. And I don't know, I don't know. I just, that was the time I wanted to reveal that to her. So
I honestly love it. And I don't know, there's an energy between you both. I just felt it's like a match made in heaven, like you really found each other, you get each other, you understand each other. And of course, Mélisa, how, when someone says to you, I'm writing a script, that I see you and I want you to play, and then, the person that is writing it for you is actually the person that is based upon. How is that feeling for you as an actor to take on a role like that with someone obviously you care about as well?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that was the biggest thing, is that we had already formed a friendship and a filmmaking relationship in that period. So then when those threads were kind of teased out of like, oh, I was thinking about you for this role. Oh, this is really my story, like, oh yeah, this is all, like, it came in pieces. So it didn't feel like such a huge, like everything at once to like big responsibility to take on. I think it was actually really helpful for it to come in pieces in that way. But yeah, it did, when you're telling someone's actual story, you take on, it feels like a lot more responsibility to be really true to it and be really grounded and give it the time and attention that it deserves. And so that just, it's an increased amount of commitment, I think, from my part. And then there was an ease, having known Sydney for so long already, that I knew I had a resource in her to talk to her about her experience, and also really knowing just how she responds and how she thinks about things. I can really bring that to the character, and while also fictionalizing it, because it isn't, obviously, it's not a documentary as well.
Yeah, no, most definitely. As I said earlier, Sydney, it was so great that you shared this story. What's it like as a director to actually, kind of direct someone, work with actors about your own story, and kind of what's your process as a director? Like, you both are obviously in direct courses, but like, what's your process? Are you a very actors director, or are you kind of someone that just improvises at rehearsal? What's involved in your process, Sydney?
I'd love to get Melisa's perspective on how I am a director after this. But genuinely, so Joy, the other lead character in the film, was also based on my best friend in rehab. And as you see in the credits, she passed away from cancer. She had a long battle. She found out in rehab that she had breast cancer. So she's just this incredible story in and of itself. And it was really therapeutic. It like really completed the full therapeutic journey for me. And I was talking to one of my best friends about it, and he said, a lot of people believe in the therapy world that when you create art out of your trauma, then that's like one of the highest points of like going through whatever journey that is to get through your trauma. And I was like, yeah, I think that's exactly what I did without realizing. And so, I mean, it was really cool. I really just, as a director, I feel like when it's time to go, it's time to go. And I have like this crazy adrenaline rush, and I'm like not really eating that much. And I'm just like making sure everything is going well. I'm trying to think like 10 steps ahead while also remaining in the moment when we are rehearsing and when camera is rolling. I don't know, I used to be a whitewater rafting guide. So like that, and for me, that was the most, like, you had to be in the present. If you weren't in the present, you're probably going to hurt yourself or other people. There may be a death, like, it's very intense. I was doing class 5 stuff. It was like very intense and scary. And so I try to channel that energy of just being like insanely present when I'm at the monitor and watching what's happening, and then working with Mélisa and whoever else is acting. And I mean, it was really intense at times. There was one scene that we were rehearsing that we ultimately didn't end up filming because we had like a makeup malfunction with this bald cap for Joy's character. But I couldn't even, we were doing a camera rehearsal and I couldn't even watch. And I was fighting back tears the entire time. And ultimately we ended up like just all of a sudden shifting to a whole new scene. But yeah, I had moments where I really kept them to myself. You know, at the end of the day, it is about me, but it also like so isn't about me in terms of the story and what we were doing. So I, you know, kind of was just like, wow, okay, this is really intense for me right now. And then was able to process that internally. And then, you know.
Well, I think, I mean, again, the performances just led us into this, like, I mean, I was watching like I was in a bubble because I was just transfixed by this relationship and what I was seeing with your friend. And Mélisa, how was that experience? Because you were just playing off your on screen, you know, friends so well. There was just such a wonderful, like, you could feel this intense, you know, friendship.
Yeah, I mean, so Karen and I, so Karen's the other actor, and she and I both have, yeah, a lot of years under our belt of acting. And so once we realized that we were both going to be acting opposite each other and realized how close and intimate this friendship was, we started getting on the phone with each other. She was in Chicago, I was in New York. And so we started having, you know, several hour-long phone conversations with each other just to get to know each other. And then we were lucky enough that when we were actually shooting, we had some time to have rehearsals in the room with Sydney too. So we could talk through some more of the backstory of it, like kind of, we can figure out the physical intimacy between each other before being on set. Like we had some of that time to get comfortable in that way. So that all really helped. And I think we both knew that that's what we needed to do. We wouldn't be able to come on set cold. We needed to build that relationship beforehand so that we could really dive into it and be comfortable with each other.
Well, I mean, again, when you're working on something that's obviously got high intensity, it sometimes can has a, you know, almost an effect in how everything is being run, because, you know, you're in the zone, you know, it's that powerful, and especially the content of what's being said, and the whole story is based upon a true story. From both of your perspectives, whether it be as producers or, you know, as performers or directors, writers, what was the biggest challenge that each of you kind of felt making this particular project?
The story came pretty naturally for me. So in terms of like thinking of the characters in the story, I mean, obviously I went through it, but I was able to do that, I feel like, fairly well and efficiently. I mean, we can go into how pre-production was a nightmare, and then I was going through a lot during production, outside of production, that I had to just like keep pushing through. But I mean, overall, when I look back at it, it was the hardest project and thing I had ever done. But, you know, I would do it again tomorrow. So, you know, I think just a lot of the normal challenges you face filmmaking, and I think it's how you react to those challenges that make you either a filmmaker who's going to keep doing it and keep going, or if you're going to say, no, this isn't for me. So.
And dealing with life on top of that, sometimes we don't realize the intensity of being work. Everything in entertainment looks kind of, you know, glossy and everything else, but when you've got life and things in your own lives that you're dealing with on top of making a film, and you got to keep going, it's a lot to give. You know, you've got to give a lot to it to make it happen. And like you said, you know, the ones that keep going, the ones that will keep making it. So no, I love that. Same for you, Mélisa, as well. What was their biggest challenge maybe you felt either in front or behind camera?
Well, so this was, I know people forget, but like it was made as Sydney's thesis film. So it was a student film. We just put a lot behind it to get it up to the quality of where it's at, because we knew, you know, what our end goal wanted to be. But I think that the requirements around making a student film, as someone who had already been working professionally for a while, like that, I got very nervous about. And so kind of being able for myself to let go of the reins and just be like, you know what, I've got to trust that regardless of all the different experience levels that are happening here, that we're going to be taken care of. It's going to happen one way or the other. You know, trust the filmmaking gods and goddesses that exist, that one way or the other, something works out. And so that was a big part of the experience for me, and that was letting go of that and trusting everybody else. And I mean, it worked. So.
Well, no, I did so much sort of depth and things of what experiences that people were going through in this film that I honestly really believe, is relatable to a lot of people. It's the story about, these particular people, but I think it's got a universal effect, and even just how we deal with certain situations. And I'm just curious, Sydney, for you, what did you kind of want your audience to take from your film?
I mean, relatability, like you said, is a huge one, and just having it feel real. And this goes back to, style of directing question. For me, like, I get a gut feeling if something just feels off, and then, I think I try to show vulnerability to actors as well. Like, hey, like, I don't, I'm learning everything, like, new things about directing every day. Having just a very vulnerable, honest conversation with them about what do we need to do together to get this to be as real and natural and honest as possible. So I really wanted it to feel real, honest, natural, genuine. And I wanted people to feel like they were right next to Charlie and Joy, and that they themselves were going through rehab. They were going through a process that not many people know about, but hopefully by the end of the film, they have more empathy and compassion towards people who have addiction problems, people who are just going through a really bad stint in their life, and then also showing the hope behind it, in that, we do recover, people do get better. And oftentimes they are the best people you'll ever meet, or the people who realize they have a second chance on life. I realized, wow, I'm given by, the spirit of the universe, if you will, just the best. And, like, I don't know, just so much gratitude for the second chance that I was given. And those people who go through something like what I did, they're just usually really grateful, positive, nice people. So I want to show that side too.
And an extra, thank you for making it, because you left the most beautiful legacy for Joy. A great celebration of your friendship, how what an amazing fighter that she is and was, and I think that was just a beautiful testament to her great spirit that you also created as well, which is, the biggest thing you can leave is for a friend and do for a friend. So I'm glad that you made that, because I'm sure a lot of people have experienced the essence of loss and losing someone very close to them, and how to deal with that. And, for your gifts as filmmaker, you left this beautiful gift for her and for everyone to experience. So thank you for making that for her. So, Joy. And I just want to go on to next, for each of you, what is next for you?
Yeah, we're working on, we're in development for this to expand it into a feature called Back Me Up, where, Sid is the writer-director of it. I'll be playing Charlie again and also producing it. And yeah, the script's super there. It's so good. I'm very excited about it. And it just really expands the world so that you can get to meet more of the people that are in rehab as well as what the process is of coming out of rehab and kind of reintegrating in normal life. That's a whole other piece of the puzzle that people don't often get to see,
100%.
So we want to show that whole thing.
This is exciting. How excited? You excited, Sydney, as well?
Oh my gosh, so excited. Obviously coronavirus has really gotten in the way, but we're immensely excited. We have been talking about this since the beginning, since this table read really that we talked about earlier. So this has been an ongoing thought for us for 3 years now. So we're really excited. And and something that Mélisa and I talk about a lot is, like, a lot of recovery, addiction oriented movies, a lot of the audience members leave like, oh, thank goodness I'm not that person. Or I feel I'm so lucky I don't have to go through that. And we kind of want to show that it's, it can be really beneficial to go through something like that. And there's, again, a lot of hope behind it. And so that's we're really excited to just, like Mélisa said, expand the world, expand what happens to Charlie and Joy and what they go through, introduce other characters, and just really justify the story. I feel like we've just scratched the surface of what it could be. So we're excited to like take it that one extra step. And it'll be my first feature. So I'm really, really excited about that too. Yeah.
What a beautiful journey this this whole journey is with this film, and just airing this out to the universe. I think it's so amazing. I really do. I was left wanting more. I wasn't done. So I had this, I need to see more of these characters. So it's a feeling. So I can't wait. So I'm ready for this film. So please just, we'll get through coronavirus and we'll get ready and get back into it. I just want to just ask a final thought for you both, because I think it's so interesting talking to you both, because I just, you just come across as like people have been doing this for decades. Like, you just really have such a, wise outlook as filmmakers, and I love speaking to you both. And just for any filmmakers out there, maybe certain filmmakers that touch your heart more than others, like, is there any advice that either you both could share with any filmmakers that want to follow in their footsteps? I mean, particularly those that, want to branch into features or even extend their shorts as well.
The most that I've ever learned in filmmaking has been jumping in the deep end, and ignorance is a really, really wonderful quality when it comes to that. So many times I have jumped into projects way before I don't know if I would have done it looking back on it, if I had all the information that I have now, but I just jumped in and figured it out, whether it's, I'm speaking more from like a producer perspective of just being way in over my head, but doing it anyway and figuring it out, and realizing that filmmaking is problem solving. There's always going to be things that go wrong. And when things are going wrong, it's not because you're doing it wrong. It's because that's the way it works. And so things will just expect it to go wrong. Have a plan, but be prepared for everything else to happen. And that's what it is. So you're doing it right if that's happening, and you're on your way.
Oh, I love it. Thank you. That was solid advice. Sydney, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, super solid from Mélisa. I would say trust your gut. Like, if you feel like either there's something's not right while you're filming, or I feel like the shot isn't quite right, or I'm working with this person and it just doesn't feel right, like, trust your gut. That's been the times where I decided not to, I've regretted every time. So trust your gut. And if you're an up and coming filmmaker, try to get on as many sets as humanly possible. I also worked as a script supervisor. I would camera operate for my friends. I would do second assistant camera work type stuff, and just get on as many sets as possible, because you learn what you like and what you don't like by doing that. And as a director, that's invaluable. You can pick up a lot of really neat, techniques and things that you wouldn't normally consider unless you were, willing to just be more like, be humble and be like, I don't need to be the director. I don't need to like run the show, but I want to see how other people do it and really absorb how it's going. That's been immensely helpful for me.
That's so important. It's so important. Well, this is just, chapter one. We're going to get into the next part of it when we see the feature, but thank you for being here to New Filmmakers LA. It's already touched a lot of hearts, and I know it's going to extend, and the family and the excitement's going to extend too. So thank you both for being part of this today, and we can't wait for the next step. So thank you both very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Yeah.
Yeah, you all are wonderful. Thank you so much.